It is. It's a Saturday morning and it's 9 o'clock. Yes, it's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo! Good morning, people. I hope you are all very, very well. There is a little bit of weather going on outside, so it might appear that I'm on the high seas for a little bit, and I apologise for any noise as well. There's a lot of flopsome and jetsam coming down the river, and sometimes it bangs into the boat and it makes a bit of a noise. Nothing I can do about it. I'm not sure whether that's the flotsam or the jetsam. I don't know if you ever have one without the other. Anyway, enough of my lack of seafaring knowledge. It's time for some reviews. And first up, we have Penic by Nemo Liu and from Hanson Chien Productions. This came out a little while, actually. It's just new on the Monster Magic website, and it really is a method of producing a pen in a nice flash. Great way to open any set or introduce a pen. It doesn't, strictly speaking, have to be a pen either. They do teach at the end that you can use it to produce anything. I mean, when you just it's a method of making a flash, basically, but the pen is the most logical way of doing it, and it is specifically designed to be used with a pen. I've just realized I can't show you that much of what's in the box, but I'll tell you what is really, really nice, is that it comes with absolutely everything you need to go. So it does use flash wool, but you get some in this, and there's a nice little start. So the tutorial split, it's by Nemo, it's split into two videos. One is a little bit of care, a little bit of the setup. So he runs through exactly how to handle flash wool. The top tip, if you are practicing this, keep the flash wool a long way away from the igniter, because literally I was in Prop Dog once and I was polishing some coins, I think, and a spark flew and hit just a little bit of flash paper, and that went up like nobody's business. So it doesn't take much to set this stuff off, so keep it very safe. Do store it damp if you can, and then only dry out not enough as you use it, because it's pretty powerful stuff, and it's very easy to have an accident. And then you get the pen. This is a Symbolon pen, which just has the right shape, basically, to use with the gimmick, and it's got two black ends, and the black end helps as well to hide the gimmick once you've used it. But it doesn't have to be this pen, so don't worry about that. I don't think there's anything wrong with using a pen that isn't a Sharpie. It's still a production of a pen, which is a physical object in itself. So you are going to hand this pen to someone, they are going to use it. So I think, so in my point of view, it's fine that it's not a branded pen. They get to look at it, they get to use it. It is completely normal. But if it really does bother you, you can use the Sharpies that have a black end similar to this one. They've got the straight barrel as well, so they're slightly different shaped Sharpies. You can get them, you can certainly get them in Ryman's in the UK, because I had a little quick check. But if even using the slightly different Sharpie bothers you, they do teach how to do it with a normal Sharpie as well. The setup is slightly different, but very easy, works just as well. In fact, I think it's slightly harder to use and create the flash, but the production and everything else is exactly the same. And actually, the steel is in many ways a little bit easier and a little bit more logical with the normal Sharpie. And of course, what you also get in here is two of the gimmicks, which is particularly nice. It means you can have two pens loaded up, ready to go. So if you're a worker, that's half the amount of time you're going back to your bag to set up. It also means if you lose one or one gets damaged, again, you're covered. There's nothing particularly advanced about these. It's just that they're designed to fit on the end of a pen. There's no electronics involved. There's very, very little to go wrong. And they work in very much the same way as traditional flint flasher, but whereas the flint flasher is more sort of designed to be skin coloured to hide in your palm, these are black and designed to sort of hide in plain sight at the end of a pen. The cleanup or ditching of the gimmick is wonderfully covered in just the action of uncapping the pen, popping it on the end and handing it out to be used. It's very logical, it's all motivated. The actual production is taught pretty well by Nemo. If you've done any sort of flipstick work with a pen or a wand, you'll immediately know exactly how it's done. And then at the end, it teaches you just how to produce other objects as well. There's nothing really groundbreaking or revolutionary inside this box, but what you do get is a nice practical method for a flash production of a pen or a deck of cards and a pen, which is a great attention getter. It's a great way to start any routine. And there's very, very little to go wrong. And because they've included everything to get you going right out of the box, I think it's a fair price as well. It is Penic by Nemo, $25.99. Next up, it's Crystal Tablet by N2G. N2G, primarily they make coins. They make some really, really good coin sets. Sometimes the tutorials aren't as great as they should be, but the quality of what they make has always been really good, I think. And they're branching out a lot more. And this is a take essentially on, I suppose, the classic Omni deck. You would do your card trick, an ambitious card perhaps, or a triumph, anything that involves having the card selected and signed. And at the end of the routine, you put the cards into your spectators' hands. When they open up their hands, their signed selection is inside a block of crystal or acrylic, essentially, as it really is. It's a nice idea. It's obviously very much in the vein of the Omni deck, which has been around for donkey's years. Here we have the block. So I'm going to show you the block because this comes in two different styles. So this is the clear crystal one, which is the one that I actually prefer. They do one that's got like the edges of cards, got like a white edge, more to look like a deck of cards. That might make it slightly easier to hide that it's a crystal block when you're doing the trick, if you're doing any phases when this is actually in your hand before you've switched out the deck. But the issue there is that where the load happens is very, very obvious on the other one. So I would sort of avoid the other one because you can't really hand it out. You have to take it back pretty quickly once it's in their hands. Whereas with the crystal clear one, they could keep it. You could do it as a giveaway, but it'd be very expensive. But you end up, they can have a look at it and they can examine it, and the card shouldn't really fall out. When you first get it, the card will simply just fall out. There's a little bit you need to do to stop the card from falling straight out. But otherwise, it'll be examinable inside the crystal. What you will see is that the crystal isn't perfectly clear. It has got these lines on it. I'm not quite sure. I guess that's a part of the production process, but it means that you do need to sort of orientate the card when you load it in the right way up. If you don't, it's not a big deal. The back of the card will hide that, but if you've got it the wrong way round, it will show up if you're just seeing the front of the card. Not a massive issue, to be honest. So you can see there with the card in the right way round, you can see that it's completely clear and the back hides any of those lines, and that's what they end up with basically, is this. And yeah, it looks pretty good. It is without doubt a real killer ending to a card trick. The Omni deck is, and this take on it is really, really nice because they lift up their hand, they see the glass block, which is a shock in itself. They see there's one card in it, and then there's another pause, and then they see that their signed card is inside as well. So you get a double beat, you get two hits of magic with this as well. So it's a great finish. The tutorial, they teach a couple of different routines. There's the Triumph routine at the start, where this is sort of in the box and you put the card in the box and then you tip it out and it's all turned to crystal. That isn't really the world's best routine. You're much better to do what you normally do with Nomini deck, I suppose, which is something along the lines of the ambitious card. Switch this in and then end with it. They do teach it all. The tutorial isn't fantastic. It's enough to get you by. If you've got any skills at all, you might want to look for other references. You might want to see how other people do it, but they do teach it all. It is all on there and the basics are there. The load to get the card in is actually very, very simple, because it is all motivated through the routine that they teach, and it's sort of done in plain sight right under everybody's nose, so that makes it a joy to do. They do also touch upon an idea of using it to finish an anniversary waltz style routine. If you know the anniversary waltz, the cards become fused together, so you've got signature and the two faces, so that would make it a nice giveaway for a bride and groom, for example, and it would probably generally be for a bride and groom because this thing is £40, so as a giveaways go, it's pretty pricey, and that is really the problem I've got with it, because I love the reveal. I love how easy it is to use as well. I love how logical it all is. It's all great, but you've ended up with their sign selection inside here, and this is too expensive to give away, certainly on every table. Obviously the top table, if you've been paid well enough, that's fine. And the signed card is also stuck in there as well. So unless you go away, take the card out and then give it back to them later, they are left with no souvenir at the end of the routine. And for me, that is just a bit of a shame. And I'm not pretending that people keep their signed cards forever, but it is quite nice. They do look at it at least for, you know, half an hour after the routine. So yeah, I would love to like it a lot more, but because you end up keeping their signed selection, I don't know, it's left a little sort of, I don't know, it's tainted my opinion of it a little bit, and I think I would probably still just do the Omni deck. Perhaps I've just got my professional hat on and it is more suited to the hobbyist, doing it for friends and family at home, or down the pub, where they're not really expecting to keep it, but they're happy to have it handed around and looked at. That is the Crystal Tablet by N2G, $42.99. Next up, it's Cheetah Chips by Craig Petty. Yes, he's back. When I watch Craig Petty, he goes right to my head. And I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. In fact, he is back a couple of times this week, and he will probably be back next week, as well as he's got a big Murphy's release coming out on Monday, which involves poker chips, and this involves poker chips as well. With these poker chips, you can do mentalism effects, really strong prediction effects. You can do coin transpo style effects. You can do visual productions of money. They are really, really versatile, which means that Craig can put together a nice 3-hour tutorial as he runs through pretty much everything you can do with these chips. As you know, Craig has been teaming up with Phil Smith and making lots and lots of decks, sort of, you know, themed decks with marked backs. What Craig has done here with Phil's help is take it away from a deck of cards completely and put all of those things into poker chips. Not the mother of all book tests, thankfully, but you get here 10 of these clay chips. They are good, top quality chips. You've got some 250s, you've got 100s, 50s, 10s and 5s. And you can, if I can sort of clink a couple together, you can tell they've got a good weight. you know, they are regular clay poker chips. They are very, very nice. They're well printed, and these are by and large actually pretty much legit to anyone who's not in the know. But Phil has done his optical marking system on the back of these chips, so they are marked pretty invisibly. But when you know what to look for, and if you're familiar with the DMC decks or any of Phil's work or any of Craig's recent releases with Phil, you will see the markings almost instantly. They are there. I do need my glasses to read them, unfortunately, but that is my eyesight. If you've got any reasonable eyesight, you'll be able to see those markings. And that really is the big secret for this. But a lot of the routines, as with some of Craig's other decks and things, don't actually use those markings. So don't be worried if you're going to be in environments with low lighting. There are plenty of tricks that Craig teaches with these chips that doesn't use the markings, and some of those routines would use these. So you also get a blank face chip, a double facer chip, a double backer chip, and a double facer with the same on each side. So these, you know, obviously very similar to card gimmicks, but they are also very similar to coin gimmicks. If you're thinking of copper silver or a double-headed coin, you'll get an idea of how some of these routines work, and just how you can apply tricks you already know that you might do with cards or coins to these chips. Craig goes through about 15 routines, I believe. There is some overlap to his previous projects, but they are all well worth learning. It starts off with a 10-card poker deal, which ends with a prediction of what's going to be in each person's hand. For me, not the best routine. 10-card poker deal. It's a deal, should be done with cards. I get the idea that it's chips and gambling and so on. That's probably one of the routines on here that didn't really particularly float my boat. Next up, you have one ahead matchup, which is an ESP matching routine. Nothing new really in the method, but it's quite nice. It's done with poker chips as opposed to ESP symbols. Gets you away from talking about Dr. Rhine, and also sometimes you don't, maybe, you know, you need a table for the ESP matching effects, putting them down. These are more water resistant and more durable than doing it with a pack of ESP cards. You then have the 50-100 transpo, which is a lovely multi-phased coin-esque trick where the 100 and the 50 transpose in your hand, ending up with them transposing in your participants' hands. So that's always great when the magic happens in their hands. That's a lovely little routine, a little bit of skill involved, but nothing difficult. You then have Quinta Extreme, based on Phil Smith's Quinta, which was written in his book Codex. That's very, very good. Takes a bit of getting used to, just so you can do the sort of mental side of it quickly and logically, but with a bit of practice. And Craig gives you some nice tips, so it's nothing to worry about, and it's pretty much self-working, and it's a nice prediction effect. You then have Impossible Prediction, which is based on a very old principle and uses one of the gaff coins. Super clean, and again, self-working. You have a couple of other sort of ESPS matching effects in there as well. You then have Craig's Discovery, which is his take on Spooky Nyman's rather brilliant Discovery trick that came out last year. I really, really like Discovery. Craig's take on it is pretty good and pretty close to the original. That is followed by a trick called Cheat, which is a sort of witch hand effect, witch chip effect going on. It's nice, involves your participants, and is multi-phased, and is quite a lot of fun. You then have Swindle Switch, which is another order prediction routine. That's followed by Shades of Imagination, I think it's called, which is more of a coin effect, and involves a little bit of sleight of hand, but it's really nice. Lots of lovely visual moments. You then have a free will effect. That is then followed by Will the Chips match. I can't remember the last time Craig released a project that didn't involve a version of Larry's Becker's Will the Cards match. And then you have a chips across, which is a really, really nice visual chips across. Lot of sleights in that in compared to all the other routines, which are virtually self-working, but they are well taught. And if you've got a little bit of ambition and you want to learn some moves, then that is the routine for you. And it is nice and visual and a really good coins across. I should say at the start, actually, Craig does teach a few false counts, a few false shuffles, and some forces that you can do with these chips, and those forces are well worth learning, and they are self-working, so you can almost make a routine yourself just using the forces. You want to do a simple prediction effect. What can I say? Craig's 3-hour tutorial is exceptional, as you'd expect. He's got a real knack of just taking just the right amount of time and giving just the right amount of detail. Every trick has a full performance and then it is taught, and that is one of the reasons why the tutorials are so long with Craig. There's nothing on here that is sort of terribly original or terribly stand out. It just lots and lots of takes on classics of magic, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because to become a classic of magic, it's got to be a pretty good effect to start off with. Taking it away from cards and putting it into these chips is clever. These chips are great. They're really well made. The marking are perfect, and it just stops you doing card trick after card trick. And you've got the hook of gambling as well. You can make up any story you like about a casino or how you came by these chips. There is simply enough on here to keep you amusing friends and family for many, many moons to come. I think it's one of Craig's best releases for quite a while. It is Cheetah Chips by Craig Petty, $49.99. And finally, it's Nicholas Lawrence's Vanishing card case. This is Nicholas's version of the classic disappearing deck. You have a deck of cards inside the card clip. You can have the card clip examined. When you put the deck of cards back in the card clip, they vanish. It's a very, very direct disappearance of a deck of cards, or just the case if you wish. It's great to open up any card routine. I'm a big fan of the disappearing deck of cards. I know a lot of people look down on it. I know it is one of those first things that you buy when you go into a magic shop. It was certainly one of the first things I bought from International Magic many, many moons ago, and I've still used it. Probably, well, actually, I say that it's probably about 10 years ago since I last used it. But I love it. I think it is a great visual trick, and it does have some advantages over this one in some of the routines you can do. You can still have a selected card inside it, and you can still pretend to tip that out, and so on. So I'm still a big fan of the old version, but the problem with the old version is, of course, it looks particularly odd. So what Nick has done has taken what we and perhaps professional card players might know as the card clip. I am slightly disappointed that this card clip is quite so flimsy. I was expecting it to be slightly stronger than it actually is, but there you go. And this can be handed out and examined, and yeah, you've easily justified it as a card clip. Would have been nice perhaps if it had something on it, but there you go. It's a very plain card case. What you might also notice is that the Pantone, so this is the gimmick bit here, the Pantone isn't exactly the same, doesn't exactly match a bicycle card box. It hasn't quite got the same sheen on it either. That is not important. When you come to show the deck of cards, it looks just like a deck of cards. You don't want to overprove it either. If they see what looks like a deck of cards, then their brain is going to fill in the rest of it. So don't worry about that at all. The tutorial is by Craig Petty, and I think he gets a good hour out of it. He runs through exactly what you get and how it all works and how to handle it. The simple vanish works very much the same way as the old disappearing cards. The angles aren't quite as good, but they are good enough, and Craig shows you exactly how to hold it to make sure that you are covered completely. He then runs through a rather good colour changing deck routine where the box changes colour and then all the cards change colour. It's nice, it's multi-phased, and it's a great use for this Vanishing card case. And then there is routine 3, which is slightly more involved. Just the box vanishes, leaving you with just the cards. You then produce the box from your pocket. You then do a little card trick. Then the deck all vanishes apart from their selection, and the rest of the cards are found back in the box. Slightly more involved. It's all really well taught by Craig, of course. But for me, this really is keep it simple. Use it as an opener, a bit of a fun gag right from the start, just to get your audience's attention. The vanish, when a whole deck of cards suddenly vanishes, is so visual, it's so strong. I know it's really, really simple. It's why people overlook the original one, but it is brilliant. Craig also has a little bit of a bonus section at the end where he just tips some ideas, whether you want to produce money or whatever. But for me, again, I don't think that's necessary, and I think it diminishes the disappearance. It's a great simple idea for updating the disappearing deck. I don't know if it's better. I really don't know if I like it anymore. The price puts me off. I think it's a little bit expensive for what you get, and you lose some of the convincers from the old disappearing deck as well, where you can actually put cards in it and so on. Perhaps I'm just beginning to overthink it. It is simply a good eye-popping opening effect for any card routine. That is the Vanishing card case by Nicholas Lawrence, $35.99.
I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't watched it. Believe what? I don't know. I wasn't watching.
And that's it for this week, I'm afraid. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will be back next week. But in the meantime, come on, let's grab some magic, go out there and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye-bye.